Hey, what's up guys? I'm Michael, I'm the guy behind Asphodel Meadows, and welcome to my studio. I'm just going to run you through some material I'm working on and talk a little bit about it. So I've been working on I'm not really sure yet if it's going to be an EP or an album, but I've been working on some songs for I did them a couple months ago through winter, and I've just sort of been a bit inspired to add some things to it again now. But for a little bit of context, the idea behind Asphodel Meadows came to me probably five or 6 years ago, and it's inspired by my interest in Greek mythology. It's where all the ordinary souls go after we die, and I just thought that the description of it was quite beautiful and more interesting than the idea of heaven or hell or anything like that. And I just like the aesthetic of it. So I used that as an aesthetic for writing in. I can use that world as an analogy or a metaphor when it comes to just my own personal issues. So I'll have a song which means a lot to me, but then I might sort of like change words around here and there to make it seem like I'm in a different space, to tell a different story, and to keep it interesting. So that's what I'm doing here. The song that I'm going to show you tonight, me working on, though, doesn't really have anything to do with Greek mythology. It's purely about an experience that I went through. So I was going through my art book the other day and found some lyrics that I'd written probably about 2 years ago, and it kind of relates to a song that I'd already written a couple months ago. I was just improvising some vocals over this. Where are we? Where I say, I see them, I serve them. And I'm talking about a couple years ago when I used to try and go to sleep. I'd see sort of faces coming out of the darkness, but they weren't like real definite. They were just like sort of just light, like just sort of like when you rub your eyes and you can see, I'm not sure what it is, I think it's when you're exciting something on your eye, but and you see sort of like just sort of bright patches. It was sort of like that, but much more subtle. It was kind of like a very slight change in just the blackness, because I wasn't actually seeing it. It was just, or at least I wasn't really sure, but I'm pretty sure I wasn't seeing it. I was just thinking about it, and that intense thought just created that image, so my third eye was kind of seeing it. But I couldn't stop thinking about it, and it was kind of creeping me out. Like, it really freaked me out, like really scared me, because they would just be screaming at me or laughing at me, and like, you know, I would close my eyes, but then they'd still be there. So the words that I'd written down, after that happened, I just had to turn on the light and just write something down just so I could record it. It's not particularly poetic, but I hear their silent screams, their dark faces printed on the back of mine eyelids. Be not afraid, instead be brave. A war in another dimension plays on mine consciousness tirelessly on a scale unfathomable. It seeks to destroy everything, even itself. And that kind of means it comes back to my thoughts about how I actually view God and the universe, and how I think a lot of the parts of the universe kind of wish that it wasn't, that there was no existence. And maybe these voices that were screaming at me were just reflecting that, because they were essentially my own thoughts. It was coming out of my own head. But at the time, I thought that they were actually other beings trying to talk to me, and sort of, I wasn't sure, because I was having really deep thoughts about dark matter, and how most of the universe is actually composed of dark matter. And I thought maybe they're just beings from another dimension. They're like our soul. Like we have a soul and we have a body in this dimension, or these dimensions, space-time. But what if our soul is just connected to our body, but then there are actually other souls that just don't have a body, and they're just sort of wandering around or floating around in these other dimensions, like spirits. I mean, and I don't know that. I'm not trying to say that that's the case in any way. I just thought it was a pretty cool thought, and that's the inspiration for this song. So I'm going to record these lyrics. Be not afraid, instead be brave. A war in another dimension plays on mine consciousness tirelessly on a scale unfathomable. It seeks to destroy everything. I hear their silent screams, their dark faces painted on the back of mine eyelids. So the idea that I'm going for at the moment is, and I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it, that's just the idea I'm sort of testing, is laying a few different vocal tracks over the top of each other, and I'm kind of getting this really cool effect. I'll show you what it sounds like. Okay, so what I've done here to each clip is I've transposed each one down 2 steps, just so I get this sort of more epic vocal track, and each one is sort of spoken in a different time. So I'll show you what it sounds like so far. I'm going to add probably a couple more and just sort of mull on it for a little while and see if I actually like it, or I might want to do a different voice. I'm not really sure. This sort of reminds me of some sort of what's his name? Anyway, just listen to what you think. Whoa, shit. I'm gonna have to turn that up a bit.
the silent screams. I hear the silent screams. Dark face, back of my eyelids, painted on the back of my eyelids. Be not afraid. Be not afraid. Be not afraid. Dead, said instead. Be brave. It seeks destroy everything.
I think on that last track, I'm not sure. I'll have to rewatch the video, but I can't remember. I don't think I used this, which is kind of my makeshift pop filter, which is just a coat hanger with a stocking wrapped around it. Thank you for that idea, Ellie Mae. But we'll see how that goes. It sounds pretty cool, I reckon, but I'm just not quite sure. I think I might need to just work a little bit on the timing of it, just cut each one up and just make sure that it's not sort of too incoherent. Because I think it may even just sound better with one good track, like this one. I think the second one that I did was probably the best one, but I didn't record it on the camera.
I hear the silent scream.
No, not that one. That was the first one. Sorry, that was terrible. I liked a lot of that recording. I just didn't like the first part. I hear the silent screams. It just sounds really stupid.
I hear their silent screams, their dark faces painted on the back of my eyelids. Be not afraid. Be not afraid. Instead, be brave. In another dimension, plays on my consciousness tirelessly. On a scale unfathomable, it seeks to destroy everything.
Anyway, I think that sounds pretty cool, and I'm probably going to leave that vlog at that for the time being, and I'll show you some of the other songs which are probably more interesting in the next episode. So, bye.